Hi, welcome to another edition of Social News Interviews. I'll be your host today, E-Rock Christopher. And in today's episode, we're going to be interviewing a medical doctor who runs a medical practice that claims to have, get this, no waiting room. In fact, this local Minneapolis chiropractor claims to treat his patients on time, every time, all the time, guaranteed. That's why we wanted to reach out to the founder and owner of Care Chiropractic and Wellness, none other than Dr. Michael Ost. Dr. Ost, welcome to today's episode of Social News Interviews.
Thank you, E-Rock. Great to be here.
Awesome. So Dr. Ost, you claim to have a process called the Take Care Experience where you're able to treat all of your patients literally down to the minute. Now, in a world where everybody's busy and people are usually accustomed to long wait times in medical offices, how are you able to have developed this process and make this all happen?
That's a great question, E-Rock. And first and foremost, know that I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a chiropractor. And I know all of us have gone into medical offices and other chiropractic offices and had the experience where you literally set your schedule late by 15, 20, even 30 minutes because you know they're that far behind. That always irked me as a person and a human being. And I just completely never wanted to ever have that experience in my office. And so for us, there's no waiting room. When our practice members come in, they check in, they right away get into certain treatment protocols, and we're off and running. And it just makes a difference. We don't waste time, and everyone gets treated literally to the minute. Our schedule is scheduled to the minute, and everybody is on time, and I'm on time. I'm not late.
Well, that's amazing. And I'm sure anybody watching this would love to know that if they have to, in today's busy, crazy schedule, that they know that they can count on a prompt experience at your Take Care Chiropractic. And so, Dr. Ost, can you tell our audience a little bit more about you, your story? I mean, what inspired you to become a chiropractor?
Well, Iraq, that's definitely one of the more common questions that I get, and it's one of the more shared stories that I love sharing, and it's worth sharing, so thank you for asking. Don't hold it against me, I'm Canadian. I've spent more than half my life down here, 21 years in America, but I played a lot of volleyball at the University of Manitoba, and I was playing one of my last games. I was warming up in a playoff game in front of a couple thousand fans, and I bent over just to pass the ball, and something that I literally done a million times. And when I passed the ball, I bent over, I felt a pop in my back. And my dad said, looking from the stand, looked like I fell over like I was a tree. And I landed, I was motionless, I couldn't breathe. Trainers rushed onto the court, saw that I wasn't breathing well. They rushed me out on a stretcher. Literally one of the worst feelings in the world is getting rushed out on a stretcher in front of a few thousand fans. There was an emergency room on campus, so I went to the emergency room. They thought I had punctured a lung. And when I went in, they did assessments, they did some pictures of my chest, and came out, and the doctors told me that I didn't puncture a lung, but I had dislocated a rib or something to that effect that was putting pressure on my lungs and diaphragm, and I was really debilitated. And frankly, it was the worst that I've ever been in my life as far as injury. I left the hospital with what I would call the typical cocktail: the anti-inflammatories, the muscle relaxants, and the painkillers. I also, by the way, I was in pre-med at this time, so these were the things that were going to get me healthy and well. And I left the ER in a wheelchair. It was, frankly, depressing. I went back to the gym. My team had won that game, and now we're going to the national championship game in 6 days. And fast forward 5 days. I'm still taking my medicines. I'm not able to do any PT. And I wake up that morning, the flight's supposed to leave, and my dad kind of gives me a shake, and he says, "Get up." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "You're going to go see my chiropractor today." And I said, "Well, why? What's a chiropractor going to do for me?" And he said, you got nothing to lose. Get your clothes on." And so I did. I got my clothes on. I hobbled my way into this doctor's office. Great name for a chiropractor, Dr. Pops. And he did his assessment, and I was very stoic. I was 18, 19 years old. What are you going to do for me, kind of thing. My rib is out, right? And but I had nothing to lose. So I went in and this doctor did his assessment. He said, this rib on the right is free floating. It's not connected. It seems like it's out of place. And I'm like, can you help me? He's absolutely. So he gets me face down, and now I'm getting my first adjustments. And he lays me down. He puts his hands on my back, and he does one adjustment. And he said, okay, well, get up. And I said, well, I wanted to say, well, have you started really? but really he was done. And as I lifted my chest off of the table, what I could feel for the first time in 6 days was this rush of air that opened up my chest, and I kind of did one of these things on the table, and I was fixed. I mean, it was amazing. And I told Dr. Popson, I didn't know what happened. I really couldn't care less at that time. I had to go win a volleyball game, so I jumped the plane that afternoon, went to Calgary, and I won my 4th national championship game. 2 days later, I came back, and this doctor shared everything with me as far as differences between Eastern and Western medicine, where true health in the body comes from the inside. And that was my proverbial fork in the road. That's where my life changed. And I have friends that run hospitals, and they're surgeons and medical doctors, but my life changed at that point. And my life changed instantaneously, and not that happens for everybody, but I had experience that changed my life. And a few weeks later, I scheduled an interview down here in Bloomington at Northwestern Health Sciences University, and literally 6 weeks after that, I'm in America going to chiropractic school, and that's how I became a chiropractor.
Wow, that's amazing, Dr. Ost. I mean, it's great to know that the reason that you're a chiropractor today is because of your personal experience, and hopefully being able to inspire other folks with similar types of experiences. So Dr. Ost, in your spare time when you're not busy being a chiropractor, what are some of the other things that you're typically doing in your free time?
Well, everyone should strive to have good balance in your life, and don't hold it against me. I'm Canadian, as you know, but there's a lot of things I did in Canada before I came here that I've continued doing here. And one of the things I love to do is volleyball. I played in the Canadian beach volleyball tour, and played a lot of professional beach volleyball, and was successful, and I made a lot of friends in beach volleyball. I spent time, of course, with my 4 kids and my wife of 15 years. We love to do adventures, we call them, with the kids, where we're hiking and exploring through the North Shore, agate collecting, sea glass. We do a lot of bird watching. We're part of the Young Birders of America Society. Thank you, Auntie Babs. And we do bird watching. Our specialty are raptors. And so, and fishing. I love to bring my kids fishing and my daughters fishing. So those things are happening. And this time of the year is freezing up here in Minneapolis. And so we have a hockey rink. I have a hockey rink in my backyard. The kids go skating. We have hockey tournaments, a lot of skating going on in my backyard. I also in the summertime love to golf. My kids golf with me, even though I only golf maybe 10 rounds a year. I still think I can golf. And I guess I do some shooting. I'm also, I love to trap shoot. I've been part of a trap shooting league for the last 5 years. And so that keeps me busy on some of the spring and summer nights. Otherwise, that's kind of about it. Anything to be outside, frankly. Anything to be outside keeps me and my family happy.
Awesome. So Dr. Ost, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, because in today's society, there's obviously probably a good number of chiropractors in the Minnesota area in your location. And so one of the things that people are typically looking for in today's age of social media is, socially conscious companies, people that are able to demonstrate, what their kind of philosophy is, if you will. And so would you mind sharing with our audience, Dr. Ost, things about your particular organization when it comes to your vision, your mission, your core values? In essence, really, what does Take Care Chiropractic stand for?
I think that's one of the most important questions, Iraq, because what you stand for is what you're about. And what I stand for is that everyone deserves to be healthy. And frankly, our slogan used to be only your mom cares more. And we believe in caring, results, respect. Everyone gets treated the same here. And as different as we all are on the outside, we are all the same on the inside. And that's very important, that everyone has the opportunity to get their spines checked at least once in their life. And we have an open door policy. I don't even have a door in my office. And so you can expect a smile from everyone in our team. You can expect that we have tremendous value, and you can expect that you're taken care of in the best world-class service is kind of what we pride ourselves on. And so when you come into our office, you're going to be treated with a smile, you're going to be treated with respect, and hopefully have excellent results.
Well, Dr. Ost, our research has discovered that you have been in business for literally over a dozen plus years, and according to stats, you've made literally over 1 million plus adjustments during that time span. And so one of the things I suspect our audience is going to be curious to know is, do you have any like really success stories, like something that you can share with our audience about how your practice has really made a difference in the lives of some of your patients?
I have. It's going to take me maybe a moment to think of a few success stories, because there are many. Well, I can think of one even before I had this practice that really weighs on my heart and head heavy. And okay, well, I was taking care of Tara. Her name was Tara. I was taking care of her for a few months, and she suffered from migraines, and she was having some resolution with that, and she was on kind of regular care, and she had a son that she had mentioned that was struggling with a few things. And then one day I'm in the back of the office and I hear her screaming, like a tantrum, just screaming kid in the front. And you can't be I'm just distracted. I mean, this baby's going crazy. So I go to the front of the office, and what I see is a policeman in full uniform, full belt, full fatigues, standing there. And my heart went through my throat. I just didn't know what was happening. Screaming kid, policeman, and then I see Tara, and Tara had brought her her son, into the office for me to check him, and he was the one that was screaming. He was suffering from colic. He had incredible bowel pain, and the policeman was her husband, David. And so I had never met David, and so I escorted them into the treatment room, and I'm now taking care of Tara's son. And he's screaming, very uncomfortable, and I checked his back and did some assessments with him, and there's an area of the spine that controls a lot of the bowel function in the upper part of the lower back. And I just did some very simple, gentle adjustments with him. I hadn't seen him before. I believe his name was Anders. And I adjusted his back, and the moment I adjusted his back, with his family standing over me, Anders just went limp. I was like, whoa. And I'm looking at his dad, I'm looking at his mom, and then Anders lifts up his head, and he's got this huge smile on his face, and I was so relieved. And his dad was like smiling, his mom was almost clapping, and that moment of all that really solidified my philosophy and where true health in the body comes from the inside. I mean, I'm not saying it was miraculous, but it definitely was an instant gratification. And I really thought differently about treating more kids, and since that point ever, I've always taken care of more kids. And thank you, Anders and Tara. It was an amazing experience, and I certainly will never forget it.
So is your chiropractic clinic very child-centric, or do you service, a wide variety of patients?
We have a wide variety of patients. I mean, I have 4 kids, and so I love seeing kids. I'm also a certified doula, so I see a lot of pregnant moms, postnatal moms, nursing moms. But we take care of a lot of different types of people and a lot of different avenues of professionalism. I can think of another executive, an attorney that I know. He was getting married, and he called me, and he said, I'm struggling. I'm getting married literally tomorrow, and I'm having troubles getting around. So I said, of course, come on in. And so David, I see someone literally crawling in the skyway of our office, and it's David. David can't even stand up, and he's crawling through the front doors, and literally he's getting married the next day. And so, I mean, we did our assessments. I had seen David before, He was having some severe low back spasms with radiation down his leg. It was weak, it was numb and tingling. And all this guy wanted to do was to walk down the aisle and dance with his wife. And so I kept him in the office and I adjusted him every hour throughout the day, little bit, very like micro adjustments, till he was tolerable. By the end of the day, he was able to walk out, put balance down, put pressure on his legs. And I went to his wedding the next day, and sure enough, David walked down the aisle. His wife was extremely happy about that, and he was able to dance at the end of the night. And he actually did more than just one dance. He danced all night long. And, it was definitely another moment that will forever be engraved in my mind about, some of the significance that we could do in a very short period of time.
That's amazing. Those are some great stories, and our audience would probably love to know if maybe you even have another one that comes to mind. What are some of the other examples that you might be able to think of?
There is a common condition called carpal tunnel, and people will feel it in the wrist and hand. In my experience of over 1 million adjustments and over tens of thousands of new patients, that very few times does carpal tunnel actually happen. And very many times carpal tunnel can be mimicked as a radiation from the neck that travels down through the arm into the hand. It presents, looks, feels almost identical to carpal tunnel, but it's not. There's definitely a reason why many carpal tunnel surgeries aren't really effective, and that's because the problem is not here, it's actually up here. And I did take care of a paralegal. I take care of many paralegals, they make the office work. But one in particular comes to mind, and Marcy was struggling with significant carpal tunnel pain, and she had thought that that's where it had come from. And she was going to get carpal tunnel surgery, and I thought that I could make a difference with her because I didn't believe it was happening in her wrist, but it was her neck. And so we started a series of corrective adjustments throughout her upper back and neck. And through a process of corrective adjustments and allowing her posture and upper back, neck, and shoulders to come into a better alignment through adjustments, stretching, and exercise, Nancy had complete resolution. She had it in both of her hands, and she was going to get surgery on both sides, and it resolved. She got strength back in her hands. The numbness and tingling had gone away. She's able to continue with her profession without any time off work. And she experiencing was a lot of that time of work beforehand. And still to this day, Marcy has not been getting any arm pain. Her neck has been very strong. And, I think a lot of people are in that category of feeling this kind of numbness and tingling in their hands. They think it's coming from the hand or wrist, but it's really not. And that's something that we do a lot of, frankly, and have a lot of great success doing. And that definitely comes to mind because that's something that we see a lot of.
Well, that's fantastic that you're able to empower your patients to achieve, health and live a better lifestyle. So I am going to put you again on the spot here, Dr. Ost, because a lot of business owners love to be able to share their success stories, of course. However, a lot of times they're not necessarily open to revealing anything where they discuss potential failures or things that might be embarrassing. So, Dr. Ost, are you comfortable sharing any of your experiences that you felt have been embarrassing, or maybe something that you've considered some sort of a failure in the past that you can share with our viewers?
Yes, I'm human. I make mistakes like everyone else, and there's one that definitely comes to mind right away. And I take care of a lot of athletes, a lot of people that work out, and they sometimes get adjustments before their exercise, sometimes get adjustments or their spine checked after their exercise. I can remember this one particular instance where a gentleman had come in and he had just worked out, and I remember he was like glistening, there was like a certain moisture on his skin. And I had done his middle back adjustments, low back adjustments, and then when I got to his neck, he was laying down. I was behind him checking his neck, and when I went to adjust his neck, my hand slid, and it slipped, and it kind of scratched him across his upper jaw and neck, cheek. And I was just shocked. I was incredibly apologetic, and he was, understanding that he was really sweaty, and and there was really nothing came of it. But it was a moment of thinking, well, man, I take care of a lot of people that are sweaty and glistening, and I mean, you can't be a doctor and be afraid of any bodily fluids. So it just happens all the time. So when I did check his neck, I had a little scratch, and something that I do now is, now if anybody is glistening, I'll grab a little piece of Kleenex or a paper towel, and I'll put it on my hand as some traction, and then I'll do it. So I'll never make that mistake again. But that was definitely one that I recall. There are some other things that happen on a kind of a weekly basis. I don't want to say daily basis, but having young kids, you're never afraid of going to the bathroom, number two, or tooting. And frankly, a lot of people will toot. I mean, toot on the table after an adjustment. I don't know if it's the pressure or the relaxation or a combination of both, but there are some moments where there's some tooting on the table, and we have created a system, a card, if you will, that if anybody toots on the table, we're going to send you a card that all of us have signed, explaining the fact that it's natural, it happens. Don't worry, and please don't be embarrassed. All the bodily functions happen, and it's something that maybe it's more embarrassing for me sometimes, but that's an embarrassing moment that happens in the office on occasion, but absolutely normal and natural. So there's stuff like that that's going on.
Well, that's pretty amazing that if someone has, a little bit of flatulence, that you actually help them to relieve themselves of maybe some of the embarrassment, and doing something personal by sending them a card. That's pretty interesting. Part of the Take Care experience, I'm sure. So Dr. Ost, one of the things that we're wanting to know is, we talked a little bit about embarrassments, maybe not necessarily failures, but as a small business owner, it's very challenging in today's competitive environment to run and operate a business and help be able to have the success that you've had over the years. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges or obstacles that you've had to overcome, either as a chiropractor or as a small business owner?
Well, there's a few things that come to mind, but one in particular, for me, I'm always learning, and I really think that advancing yourself educationally not only helps me, but everybody else around me. And so I'm constantly trying to do things that improve not only my business sense, but my practice, and being a chiropractic physician. And there's a few coaching and leadership things that I've gone to, and it's a moment where you share your philosophy, you share your intents and your culture with other executives or business leaders, and you just get feedback. And it was a time many years ago at the beginning of my career when I had an opportunity to share my consultation, my pitch, if you will, and I said it to the exact like I would, and it was in front of all these executives, and I was probably one of the younger people there. But I wanted to do my best job, and so I delivered my best presentation. I hit all my spots per se, and I kind of nailed it, and I felt pretty proud of myself. And after I was done, one of the people right in the front, one of the, I would call more successful people, said to me, "Is that how you say things exactly?" And I, very proud, said, "Yes, exactly. That is exactly how I say them." And he said, "That is the biggest amount of BS I've ever heard in my life." And at that moment, my whole life changed professionally. That was a moment in my life where things that I thought were normal and acceptable were no longer. And I really got into a sense of being open in communication, and being present to listening, and being present to what makes a difference for others. And not so much of my priorities, but what are everyone else's priorities that I can be a coach to. And that moment of my professional career changed my life. And it was arguably the most embarrassing moment that I've ever had in front of some of my peers, but it was also one of the most rewarding.
Well, thank you for sharing that with our audience. And so obviously that was an epiphany for you, sort of a one-time event. Do you find that you experience at your chiropractic center any sort of more common or daily challenges that you find that you need to be able to again overcome to be able to provide the best experience possible?
I mean, it's a daily experience of being a husband and a dad. It's balance in life. And like anybody, having good balance for me, it makes the difference for me, and that keeps things in check. And, I'm an immigrant. I'm an immigrant like many of us. I'm an immigrant from Canada. I've been here for 20 years. I've been here more days in America than I have been in Canada. But really, for my family, being home at 5 for dinner, that's the challenge on a day-to-day basis, and I get to spend time with my kids and my wife and switch gears. And that challenge, when I come home, I'm not Dr. Ost, I'm dad. And the kids are gonna ask me all the crazy subtle questions about being a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old. And the doctor title doesn't come with me home anymore. It's about making sure the kids are fed well, and we play games, and it's about parenting. And so for me, that's the challenge, and being an entrepreneur, a dad and husband, and putting all those things in check really is the day-to-day balance. And I mean, we see over 10,000 people a year here in my office, but when I get home, that doesn't matter. It's all about being a dad and being present for my kids, and that is more of the challenge for me every day.
Well, amazing. Thank you for sharing that with our audience. So, Dr. Ost, in today's, again, social media based world, people, they want to know who they're doing business with. And you talked a little bit about your company values, your core values, and even a little bit about your background. But maybe we can convince you, persuade you to share some things that maybe people don't even know about you. So what would you say are one or two or three things that maybe people don't know about you but might find interesting?
Well, as you might have guessed, having a hockey rink in my backyard, that would be one of them. I have it's basically a 3 foot deep above ground pool that I freeze, and we have hockey tournaments and curling and ringette for all the Canadians out there. But having a hockey rink is pretty cool, and I love hockey. I grew up playing hockey. I used to watch the Jets with my dad. I remember going to a Jets game as a young kid in Winnipeg, and a Winnipeg player that a lot of people know is Jonathan Toews out of Chicago. And when Chicago had won the Cup years ago, I was actually in Winnipeg, and a friend of mine that worked in the restaurant industry said that Toews was in town with the Cup on the roof. And if you get here right now, there might be a chance you can see the Cup. So I stopped everything I'm doing. I rushed downtown Winnipeg to the tavern, and lo and behold, there's the Stanley Cup. And in a moment of privacy, I took a drink out of the Stanley Cup, and I'm proud to say that it was a pretty cool moment, and I'll never forget. Thank you, Jonathan Toews. I also do tons of fishing. I grew up fishing. I love to fish. I fish streams, rivers, big lakes. But one of the things I'm most proud of is that I have caught a lot of big fish. This is not a fish story, but there are awards in Canada called Master Anglers, and I have caught 6 master anglers in my life. I'm hoping for more than that, but time will tell. Maybe my kids will catch more master anglers than me, and that would be okay too. But if I'm not here in the office, typically I'm hanging out with my kids or I'm fishing. Those would be definitely some of the things that I love doing in my spare time.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'll bet a lot of folks in Minnesota would love to know, for those that are hockey aficionados, that you, Dr. Ost, have been able to enjoy drinking from the NHL's Stanley Cup. That's pretty impressive. So moving more into the business side of things, Dr. Ost, obviously we're talking to you today about your Take Care experience. And so with that being said, obviously that's one of the things that I'm sure you would say helps you to make your chiropractic center and wellness center unique or different. But what else would you say is a part of that Take Care experience? What are other things that you believe helps to make your chiropractic center unique, better, different, or superior to your competition?
Great question, Iraq, and I think that's that question's a difference maker. I think what's most important in any aspect of business is the team that you surround yourself with. And we have a world-class, phenomenal team. that we rely heavily upon in our systems. I have a devoted team, and that makes a difference. It makes the biggest difference having people that love what they do, they want to be there, and they want to make a difference in people's lives. You can have all the most sophisticated technology, but without people that care to make a difference, I don't think it's enough. So we do have very sophisticated technology as well. We have some of the most sophisticated digital imagery that is in Minneapolis. One of the only places downtown as far as a private clinic that has digital imagery is Care Chiropractic. And for us, it's all about the thoroughness. We're incredibly thorough as far as what we do for a new member, with a thorough consultation, orthopedic, neurological, chiropractic, and physical exams, plus taking digital imagery of the back, doing motor, sensory, and reflex assessments. And so it is a very thorough assessment. And with all those things that we do, we find things that other clinics simply don't, because of our thoroughness. And that's something that I think makes us different.
Can you give us an example? Dr. Ost, can you give us an example of someone who might have benefited from the fact that you did some sort of comprehensive analysis?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's worth mentioning that, whether or not you speak English or not, if there's a language barrier, doing a great assessment makes a huge difference. And I took care of someone just a few months ago that couldn't speak English. And she came in with her daughter that I did know, but she brought her mom in. Her mom was suffering from excruciating low back pain. She wanted to rush her in and out because she was traveling out of the country again, back home to Europe. And I said, I can't do anything about this until I do an assessment. I need to figure out what's happening. So I did do the full digital imagery, the orthopedic neurological chiropractic assessment, and I didn't want to skip anything. And what I found, and looking at the pictures with her next to me, I asked her, "It looks like you fell off a horse." And as soon as I said that, this girl that couldn't speak English starts laughing. And then her daughter interpreted that, yes, she did fall off a horse 30, 40, maybe even 50 years ago. She couldn't remember. And she had literally broken her back in a few places. So, and it had fused completely anatomically incorrect. And I was not going to do any care with her. I gave her the images that I had. I gave her recommendations on what kind of MRIs or specific imagery should be done. She went back to Europe. She had imaging done. She saw that she had different disc herniations and different fractures that were healing inappropriately. And she actually had some different types of procedures and surgery. But her daughter came in after this and told me that her mom was so happy that we didn't do anything. She's completely healed. The procedures worked for her, that they knew what was wrong. And just, she was very grateful and thankful for us that we did what we did without treatment, but all the analysis that helped us come to a conclusion that we couldn't treat her and that someone was better off taking care of her and figuring out more what was going on. She was very grateful that her mom was literally walking, because she was so far over, she couldn't even stand up at that time. And now she's gardening and doing the things that she loves to do. So yeah, there's stuff that happens all the time like that.
Well, that's amazing, Dr. Ost. Thank you for sharing that story. And if you're just joining us, again, you're watching Social News Interviews, and we're here with the founder and owner of Care Chiropractic and Wellness Center, Dr. Michael Ost. So, Dr. Ost, I'm sure one of the things that our audience might be wondering, especially again in today's world where people are becoming more socially conscious, what are you doing as a local Minneapolis chiropractor to support your community? Are you doing anything when it comes to, again, supporting your local community, charitable foundations, things of that nature?
Absolutely. I think that we're part of one of the best communities, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I think Minneapolis is a fantastic community, and we contribute. One of the things I'm most proud of is the amount of food contributions that we've done. One of the partners that we've had over the years has been Second Harvest, and Second Harvest takes in non-perishable goods and then distributes them to needy other service and needy other people. And over the years, we've been able to collect over 2,000 pounds of food, and that's something that's been incredible. And with all of our new patient consultations, we also give a donation. Whatever the new patient consult is, we give a donation, which is typically $25 in those promotions. And so we donate another 25, which makes 50. And that donation goes to to another nonprofit group. And what my understanding is that $300 allows them to buy 10 pallets of food. And so with our donations, I figured that we've been able to buy almost 20 pallets more of food on top of the $2,000 over the years. And that's something that's just been incredible. And one thing that's kind of happened generically through that is other people started bringing in diapers. And so now we do a thing called diaper drives. I know all parents out there know when your kids get out of diaper that, you typically have a lot of diapers left over. And we have now taken in with our food drives, we also take in diaper drives. And we've raised thousands of diapers from newborns all the way to adult. And what's something that a lot of people don't realize is that you can't bring a newborn to a childcare facility without diapers. They won't take a newborn or any kid without diapers. And so having diapers allows families to get away and look for jobs and put their kids into daycare. And so, as crazy as it sounds, it's very needy as far as doing diaper drives. And that's something that we've done a lot of, and it's been cool giving back that way.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Ost. And it's great to know that you're able to, again, support your community and doing all that you can for the great city of Minneapolis. So with that being said, Dr. Ost, for your chiropractic clinic, what type of individual do you believe makes an ideal patient and that can get the most benefit from your treatments and services?
Well, that's someone who wants more out of their life. They want a better quality of life. And we're inclusive of all. Age, race, sex, gender, it doesn't matter. Everyone deserves the opportunity to be healthy. And if someone wants bigger, better, bolder life, or they're up to something, had someone come in a few months back, I think now, and she wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, but she could barely walk down the Skyway. And so, she was up to something. She wanted to hike up a mountain. And she did. She hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro last fall. It was amazing. Being part of those kind of dreams and just a little bit, being part of other people's dreams, as far as being a little piece of that pie for them, is something that I'm incredibly grateful for. And it kind of gets me up in the morning as far as doing those for other people and being part of other people's dreams. And so that's really what this is all about, is making a difference in people's lives and really creating a future that you could live into healthy. So really for us, it's moms, busy professionals, people looking at an active lifestyle, kids, pregnant moms. Those are all types of people that we care for and all deserve better.
Well, that's amazing. And so again, Dr. Ost is the owner and founder of Care Chiropractic Wellness and has been in business for well over a dozen years. And so I'm assuming with that vast experience, Dr. Ost, that you probably have maybe won some awards, accolades, maybe certain accomplishments or achievements. Would you mind sharing with our audience if that's the case, and if so, what that's meant for your practice and for your patients?
Yeah, there's all kinds of awards out there. And I've won championships, got trophies, certificates, diplomas. And you can even buy awards, which we don't do. But frankly, the biggest award is the acknowledgement that we get from our practice members. And sometimes in the morning we have our morning huddle, and I'll read through some of our testimonials or reviews, you will. I think there's over 150, 200 of them in this one binder. That's the awards that I like. That's the awards that I read for my inspiration and my team. Those are the awards that I think are the most valuable. And we've gotten awards, have been asked to be part of different chiropractic boards. I'm part of the clinical faculty at the chiropractic school. I have been for over a decade. We're a major sponsor for the USTA Northern tennis tournament that happens in the back of our building. We've been out there for 10 years working with the USTA in tennis. We've done the Susan G. Komen, these kind of walks in the medical tent after they walk for a day, 10, 20, 30 miles. We do adjustments and work on feet. I've also been a part of the MS 150, which is a 150-mile bike ride. from Duluth to Minneapolis, and we've been again on the second day doing care to the participants. And so for me, giving back is the big award. Maybe that sounds cliche, but that's what I love to do. And if I'm going to spend time being acknowledged, I want to be acknowledged in that kind of fashion. That to me makes a big difference.
Well, that's amazing that you have a collection of over 100 and so written testimonials before even probably maybe the internet was there and with the online reviews. So with that said, Dr. Ost, of course, our researchers have found that you are actually one of the most highly rated chiropractors in the Minneapolis area. And so a lot of people, now in today's society are becoming much more familiar with chiropractic care, but you also offer various wellness services as well. So would you share with our audience maybe a little bit of more information about the types of treatments and procedures that you do offer your patients?
Of course, Rock. It's a very popular question. What do we do? Our menu of services. But of course, chiropractic, but all types of chiropractic, whether or not it's athletic, pregnancy, kids, geriatric, those are all part of our scope of practice. We also offer massage therapy in all of its types. We have tables that have abdominal sections that break free, that allow pregnant moms all the way up into their 9th and 10th month of being pregnant to lay comfortably face down to receive care on their backs. And so whether it's active trauma massage or relaxation massage, Swedish, craniosacral, deep tissue, trigger point, active release, myofascial release, those types of massage. So all those, absolutely all types of massage therapy. And then nutrition, supplementation, detoxification, weight loss, health and food coaching, dietary recommendations, so those types of things. Exercise related as far as active rehabilitation, physical therapy with doing exercise and stretching. And we also do a lot of consultation, educational platforms. And so we bring sometimes lunch into a corporation, and we'll do a health and wellness presentation on perhaps peak performance or ergonomics and posture, or how to get more energy out of your day, and those types of things. So we do a lot of education and promotion through our community with those types of corporate events. And we like to have fun. We throw a lot of parties. We do a lot of tenant appreciation events, healthy happy hours, lunch with a doc, dinner with a doc. I threw a grand celebration every year for our anniversary that comes up in April, and we rent out a big room. We hire a professional, usually a health speaker that comes in, or some type of author perhaps. Last year we had an author come in and share about his story. And so we're having fun. If you're not having fun, what are you doing? But we take care of a lot of different types of people in downtown Minneapolis.
Well, that's fantastic, and it's great to know that you're trying to provide a fun experience, and that's actually why we're interviewing you today, because you have this process that you're calling, or this branding that you're calling, the Take Care Experience. So let's say that someone is interested in possibly visiting your center and getting some form of treatment or wellness therapy. Can you give our audience an idea, kind of like a mental image of what their experience might be like when it comes to this Take Care Experience? Let's say they schedule their appointment. What can they kind of imagine or could expect when they're kind of visiting and about ready to open the door, and what happens thereafter?
Yes. There's a certain ambiance. Healing affects all the senses. An experience that affects all the senses is what you could expect. You're going to expect a place in our office that smells nice with essential oils. I promise I will not smell that. We have different salt lamps in our office that diffuse salt ions into the air, that purify our air. So breathing, for some reason, with the salt ions is much easier in our office. A lot of people with asthma can testify the fact that our office just feels more relaxed and easier to breathe in. So people will just come to our office to hang out because of the ambiance, how it feels, and the music that comes in is, typically beats and something hopefully that you'll enjoy. Our diffusers will diffuse citrus, which is a relaxing but focused smell. Everyone in our office is standing with a smile. We have nice lighting in our office, in our massage area, in my office. And we offer tea, water, we have a Take Care tea. And we do offer a lot of events and promotions in our office as far as appreciation events that we held every quarter. They're a week long. I cater in breakfast and lunch. Everyone can enjoy our oatmeal bar, or we do soup, salad, chilies. We offer an appreciation event where some of our massage therapy is done at my expense. We offer different gifts and promotions through different like giveaways that we do that you can earn tickets for. And, we just try to have fun and make sure that everyone's having fun with us. And I think all those things build a community and a culture that people want to be a part of. And it's been fun. There's never been a moment in time when I thought that I wasn't having fun. And with that comes good healing. And when you take care of someone like your mom would, it calms the soul. It generates healing from within on all the senses level, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, visually. All those things make a difference that can contribute to a person's healing and the effect of their healing. So everything and every bit matters.
So if you're just joining us, we're interviewing Dr. Michael Ost, the founder of Take Care Chiropractic and Wellness Centers, who is branding his company with a very unique process, calling it the Take Care Experience. And our researchers have discovered, Dr. Ost, that you actually offer some sort of performance guarantee when it comes to being able to fulfill your promise that all patients get treated on time every time. Can you tell us a little bit more about this guarantee and maybe an example of how that played out with one of your patients?
Yeah, I can certainly try. As in any health, there's no guarantee. However, we expect results. And we expect that things will be on time. They're going to be clean. They're going to be served with a smile. And this is a family business. This is my business. This is a traditional family business. This is my family's livelihood. And just like any, street vendor in another country or in this country, that street vendor, that's their entire livelihood, is that food on that cart. And I mean, this is my livelihood. What you see here is my family's business, and it's everything that I have. It's what I do. And so we have basically a traditional family office that allows us to maybe cater to more of those subtle nuances that other offices can't. And what we can assure you is that our schedule is on time, professional, and we get great results. So, and if people aren't getting results, we offer money back guarantee. We're not going to provide care for something that, frankly, you're not getting results with. And I had someone come in that was really, we'll call it, really concerned and connected with his upper back and neck. Like, that was the problem area. But when I walked him back to my office, I realized that he had a bad limp, and really he didn't have leg. He had a prosthetic leg. But he was very focused on his upper back and neck. That's where the problem was. And I did my assessments, of course, my consultation, the thorough exam. And through the exam process, when I did his hip check, I realized that not having a leg and a prosthetic changed his hips to some of the most that I had ever seen in practice. And my recommendation was that it wasn't in his neck. It was because his hips were so shifted that it was making him walk crooked. And so I said I would absolutely take care of his neck and middle back, but if I didn't check his low back, that it would cause an issue. And so I adjusted his low back, and through a process of care, he started running. He started doing more running and swimming, and very active. For a person that has one leg, I think that he's the most active person I could imagine. And I like to think that maybe I had a little tiny part that his success in that feeling comfortable doing it now through being better adjusted, that he's able to do the things that he's always wanted to do and better. And that his upper back and neck complaint that was there was really resolved when his hips were better. And I've even been in a little part of him introducing new prosthetic into his into his lower body, and now he's doing better than ever. And that's one of the unique things that I get to be a part of, that, you know, we get to spend time doing, and I have an interest in doing, and it just makes an incredible difference for a lot of people that you never imagined would.
Well, we're glad to know that you had such a fantastic outcome for a gentleman with one leg and who was struggling with this prosthetic. But going back to the guarantee, Dr. Ost, have you ever had an experience with a patient where things didn't necessarily go as you had hoped or as planned? The patient didn't experience kind of the outcomes that they were hoping for. And then how does your guarantee play into that? Have you ever encountered a situation like that?
Yeah, yes, I have. It's infrequent, but it does happen. I can think of someone that looked like the pinnacle of health. She was fit, healthy. She was experiencing some neck pain, but otherwise A plus. And after I did the assessment, you know, I saw her neck seemed injured. I couldn't really tell how or why, but it was injured. And I had adjusted her neck and upper back, and she had come back the next day and expressed that it was just, you know, it was really bad. It was much worse, even with the icing. And I did, you know, another set of adjustment, I think that week, maybe even the week after, and it just seemed like it was getting worse and worse and worse. And that's not supposed to happen. And so she came in, she was very unhappy about things. I had the check on my desk. I said, listen, I'm ready, willing, and able to refer you to somewhere else that you're going to get better care with. But what I'd like to do is, you know, offer you the check and money back, but I'd really like just one more week if I could. And she graciously gave me one more week. And the very next time I saw her, I asked her if she did a certain type of yoga move. And the yoga move was like a type of a headstand. And she said that she practiced headstands almost every day. And my hunch was that the headstands were complicating her neck corrections. And so I asked if she could stop doing headstands, and she did. And from that day forward, doing neck adjustments without her doing headstands, she got better and better without doing the headstands. We're not bats, we're not designed to hang upside down, but you know, there was an opportunity there where she could have taken a refund, but she trusted in us a little bit more to do some extra care, and that's where the difference was made, because we found out that she was perhaps doing something that was being deleterious to her health and compromising her care. And after that, she's doing great. I still see her. She's doing fantastic, healthier and more fit than ever. And so, you know, that was an aspect of the performance guarantee where we would absolutely refund if someone is not getting the value or the results that they were looking at getting.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for sharing experience about how you are always there to honor the guarantee when it comes to your take care experience. And so, Dr. Ost, our research have discovered that you're one of the top rated chiropractors in the Minneapolis, Minnesota area with years of experience, and have treated like tens of thousands of clients and have provided over 1 million plus adjustments. And so with your vast experience over the years, there's a lot of people who have questions, and they kind of have a, you know, that's more about them and their needs. But as a top expert in your field, what are some of the questions that patients should be asking but don't know to ask? Like, can you give our audience an example of like maybe some insider secrets of things that they should be considering before working with a chiropractor or a wellness center?
Absolutely. I think this might be one of the most valuable questions that you've asked for others. The main tip I would give, if this is a tip, is I'd want to know how many referrals that office gets. Referrals are a big deal. And for someone, a family member or a caring friend, to refer someone in, that is the greatest honor. And it also shows the deepest amount of trust and respect. And I think a critical question that you could ask any healthcare provider is, what percentage of new patients are referrals? Our office, 80% or higher is referral. And I'm very proud of that. And it's something that we are proud of, and something that I think is essential, that we look for our practice members to help us grow. And a referral is one of the kindest acknowledgments that I get in any given day. The second thing would be practice members or patients stay with an office. That's critical. One of our stats that we keep is how many of our practitioners will take care with us a second time. And our second care plan of cares, re-signs we call them, are over 90%. And so simply when a practice member comes here, they love what they do, and they stay with us. And there's actually an office across the street from us, and we get referrals from this other chiropractic office. I had a gentleman just a few months back, and he said, "Have you been to the White Castle of Chiropractic across the street?" And I said, "What? What does that mean?" He goes, "There's a clinic across the street that you come in, they steam your buns, and you leave unhappy." And I was like, whoa, there are a lot of differences in care. And I mean, I don't want to disparage anyone else, but there are differences. And I think that those questions can make a big difference as far as finding a good home and a good long-lasting home for someone that's looking for care.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing those insights with our audience, Dr. Ost. And so, again, with your years of experience, chiropractic is becoming a much more widely popular modality, when it comes to medicine and wellness and health. But maybe you might be able to share with our audience some myths, or dispel some myths or bad assumptions that maybe people don't necessarily stand when it comes to chiropractic treatment and care. Would you mind sharing with our audience some of those maybe secrets, or help to reveal some of these myths and maybe bust some of the myths that are out there?
That's awesome. I love this question. It's one of my favorite questions so far, Yurok. I think it's so cool to know that, and I do a whole presentation called Mythbusters, actually, that I do a series of 10 different things about chiropractic and Mythbusters in chiropractic. But one of the things that a lot of people find shocking is that chiropractors have more classroom education than medical doctors. Chiropractors have 200 more hours more of classroom study than medical doctors do. The difference in education length is that medical doctors have a longer residency period. The residency is about a year longer. Chiropractic is just about a year. So that's the difference. So that's one thing, that chiropractors are in Minnesota are licensed chiropractic physicians. We have the ability to assess and diagnose anybody that comes into the office. And so chiropractors are doctors, of course, that prescribe any medicine and don't provide any surgeries. We do our procedures naturally, holistically, and provide the healing that the body needs from the inside out, which is exactly opposite from what a lot of other medical doctors are providing with drugs and surgery. So if you're looking for a holistic way to get care, that's where you go see a chiropractor. So that's one myth we could bust. You think other ones?
Well, Dr. Ost, I think that you've definitely answered that and busted that myth. So a lot of people might be wondering, and this is one of the things we'll ask our guests, is what would they say, what would your patients say, how they would describe you in just one word? If you asked your patients to describe you in one word, what do you believe they would tell you?
One word.
One word.
I'd have to say authentic.
Interesting. Excellent. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Dr. Ost.
Now, if you ask my parents, I think that they would say Canadian, but I think my practice members would say authentic, and I would agree with them.
Well, awesome. So let's talk about maybe the other side of chiropractic being like a very popular mode of treatment. What would you say are some of the most frequently asked questions that you get when people call your practice, and maybe they're skeptical of chiropractic care? Maybe they're experiencing pain and have gone through, other medical treatments and other doctor visits, but aren't getting the wellness and health that they're seeking. What are some of the most frequently asked questions that you believe come from maybe people who are a bit skeptical about chiropractic care?
Yeah, I mean, it happens frequently. I mean, everyone should be skeptical about the people that are taking care of them, and really do their due diligence That is what I do with my family, so I would expect everyone to do that as well, and I encourage that. One of the things that we hear a lot is, with really serious problems that maybe we can't help them. And, maybe they've run the gamut of doing different procedures or taking serious medicines that have side effects. And they wonder whether or not the chiropractic adjustment can work for them. And I believe one of the things that makes the biggest difference is that when anybody comes into our office, that they get a comprehensive assessment, and they come in for a consult, the exam, the pictures, and we put together the picture that many times a patient has never seen before. A lot of the things in many offices are closed doors where you don't see the results of the tests, you don't see the results of the exams, you're not really a part of the health, like a partner, which is how we operate. We operate as a partner, as a team. There's nothing that we do that you don't know what's going to happen first. There are no surprises. And when we do our assessments, a lot of people don't think that that's necessary, that we could just go in there and do our adjustments. But that's more or less like guessing. We don't want to guess. We want to be certain about our diagnosis, and our plan of care then can be more accurate to fix the diagnosis. And we've had many people that have come in and literally have left our office. It breaks my heart, but they have left our office because they didn't want to get an assessment. They didn't want to spend the time to do that. And I mean, ironically, I just had a letter come in thanking me for this exact same thing that happened 4 weeks before the end of the year. And if I could take a moment here, Iraq, I have this on my desk next to my Christmas cards. I'd love to read this. And it says, this is from Denise. It says, Dr. Ost, a quick thank you for the quality of care you have already given in helping my healing process to begin. To think I almost walked out again because of x-rays. I walked out back in 2005 because I didn't want x-rays. I'm very glad I reconsidered and came back. I took my chiro care for granted and see that now. You have a gift for what you do, which is why you do it. I love the holistic approach to your chiropractic care. Thanks again. Merry Christmas, Denise. These kind of things are just fantastic. And this just happened literally 3-4 weeks ago for someone that walked out of my office 10 years, 15 years ago because she didn't want an assessment. And she later told me that she came back in again years later and walked out again because she didn't want to get the assessment. She came in, I'll get this. She's been getting adjustments up in her upper neck that have been giving her migraines, and that's why she's always been hesitant. She suffers from rheumatoid arthritis, and when I did the assessment, there's a certain ligament in the top of her neck that wasn't positioned right. And without that image, I would have not known that that condition existed that way. And now I do the adjustments differently. She has expressed that she never gets a migraine after her adjustments. She's feeling that her neck adjustments have been the best that she's ever gotten. And it's all because that we did that assessment and we knew what was going on. And she had walked out of the door previously because of that assessment. And now it's made a difference for her in a big way.
Wow, that's an amazing story, Dr. Ost. It's fantastic to know that if people and patients come to your clinic, that they're going to get that kind of in-depth treatment and evaluation. And so there are other, competing companies. There's different styles, different types of chiropractic treatment. How would you say your company compares against those that maybe aren't doing as in-depth treatments because it's maybe provides a quicker, faster type of environment? How would you say your company, Take Care Chiropractic and Wellness, compares to those other chiropractors in the Minneapolis area?
Well, we compare well, thanks for asking. I'm not disparaging others. Getting care is the most important thing. And certainly in certain scenarios, it might necessitate different offices for different situations, and I'm present to that. However, in my opinion, I don't want to guess. And guessing is not going to help determine the right outcome. And so for me in my practice, what I prefer is to do an assessment and figure out what's going on, as opposed to just guessing. That's something that I don't really like to do, and I don't want that for my family, and so that doesn't really happen in my practice.
Amazing. Dr. Ost, thank you so much for being a guest on today's edition of Social News Interviews. We are so happy to learn more about your Take Care experience, where you treat all your patients on time, every time, and you actually back it up with a guarantee. So before we wrap up today's edition of Social News Interviews, Dr. Ost, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yes, I would, Iraq. I'd like to add that everyone deserves the opportunity to be healthy, and everyone deserves to increase their life experience, to make the life experience the most robust and colorful as possible. And life should be loved, enjoyed, and appreciated. Why not? And for anybody that's listening to this, I would like to offer a massage at my expense. Come into my office, call, email our office at Take Care Chiropractic, and I'll offer you a free 30-minute massage at my expense. And you could try us on and see how that is. Everyone deserves their spine to be checked at least once in their life. And if that's you, or someone has not had the opportunity to have their spines checked, take advantage of me. Typically our spinal checkups, which is the orthopedic, neurological, and chiropractic assessment, plus all the digital imagery, as well as, of course, the thorough and comprehensive consultation, typically is over $600. And when we run promotions in our office, usually those are $137. But again, if you've heard this message and you are interested, you can have that checkup for only $97, and that's the same checkup that we would do with anybody. And so if there's something here that resonates with you, take advantage of me and come get your spine checked. Out of our office, you're going to know that we love life and be well for it, and we're Minnesota nice. And so come check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ost, for being our guest on today's edition of Social News Interviews.
You're welcome, Iraq. It was my pleasure.
And that'll do it for today's episode of Social News Interviews. I was your host, Rock Christopher, and we'll see you on the next edition of Social News Interviews. Have an amazing day.